Hi, I'm Jacob Dobson from Integrated Paving Concepts. Today we're going to be going over the SR120 general overview video. The SR120 is the largest heater in our reheat lineup. It's very maneuverable around the job site. Has excellent productivity with all of our products. In the video we'll be going over initial setup, general usage for softening asphalt and melting thermoplastic, and we'll be going over setting it up for transit. So to run the SR120, you're going to need 3 100-pound propane tanks. And the reason we have 3 is so when you're using the machine, all tanks draw evenly so they don't freeze up. If you're using only 100-pound tank, the machine takes so much propane all at once, the bottle would freeze up and you'd lose a lot of your pressure. For the electrical needs, we recommend that you have a 3,000-watt Honda generator. The Honda generator has power conditioning. There's a lot of advanced electrical components with the SR120, and the power conditioning gives a clean power to the machine. Other generators can surge and cause a lot of damage to the electrical components. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do when you're setting it up is lift the front rail and lock it in place. You're going to want to reuse 2 people to do this because the rail is quite heavy. You disconnect the handle here, get someone to help you lift it up. Best to put your foot here. Pull it straight up, pull onto it, lock it in place. You want to make sure you connect the handle back in so it doesn't drop down and hit the heaters, and then slowly lower it down, keeping an eye on the belts, just like the SR60, and then we lock the rail in place. Next one. Okay, with the umbilical cord hooked up to your generator and hooked up to your propane tanks, we can connect the lines. So we can connect propane. And we can connect the electrical. Okay, once the power is connected, it'll have to go through the GFI. The GFI is located on the drive handle here. And to turn it on, you just push the top button until the green light comes on. That sends power into the machine. So the SR120 runs off 2 voltage systems. You have the 24-volt system that runs the wings and the drive wheel, and you have the 120-volt system that runs the heater carriages. So the 24-volt system operates the rear drive wheel and the side wings. So I can move the machine back and forth with the throttle here. And I can move the wings up and down with the switches. And this system is set up with 2 12-volt batteries equaling a 24 volt, which you can see on the voltmeter here. And they are charged underneath the hood through a charger that only works when the GFI is turned on. So here we have the motor. It's connected through your 24-volt system over here, and this is connected to the batteries. The batteries are connected in through these terminal kill switches, and the batteries are charged by the charger here. The charger will work when these kill switches are disconnected, as long as the GFI is turned on, allowing power to get into the machine. The machine is designed with these terminal kill switches. This allows you to disconnect the batteries from the machine during transit and when it's in storage, so the batteries aren't killed. So we also have the 120-volt system. This system drives the heater carriage and is run off the generator only. So we have the propane connected, but there's no propane running the machine yet. We first need to turn on the main propane valve located here on the handle. And this now allows propane to run to the pilot lights. The pilot light system ignites the propane when the heater's in motion, the propane is turned on. It comes at 50 psi from the first stage regulator located at the propane tanks. There's 1 pilot light on either side, and there's 1 valve on either side to control the flow for the pilot light. You want to open these up about 3 turns till you hear propane coming through the bottom. Use some sort of ignition source. And ignite the pilot lights. They'll stay lit until the propane at the main valve has been turned off. The small rod in front of the pilot lights is a thermocouple, and what that does is check to see if the pilot light is turned on. There's a safety system in place that won't allow propane to flow unless the pilot lights are lit to make sure that the propane will be ignited. If these aren't lit, you don't want to have propane going out into the atmosphere. If someone smoking nearby could light up the machine. Now that we have the pilot lights lit, we can lower down the wing heaters, and that's again done by the 24-volt system. Use a switch to lower the heaters down. Now I can control how far it goes down. There's nothing to stop me from lowering it all the way down to hit the ground. This will damage the heater and also cause the cable to bind up. So you want to be careful that you bring it down to the proper level, but not too far. So we have the wings down. We want to lower the front legs of the machine. We release the brake on the top here by pulling it in, lower it down, and then re-engage the brake by letting go. So now it's locked in place. All right, now that we have the heater in position, I want to talk about the 110-volt system. This is what operates the heater carriage, and it's powered by your Honda generator. Power comes in again through your umbilical cord, and the GFI has to be turned on for it to work here at the base. Just like the SR60 has a big red on-off button, you need to pull it out to light up your counter, and you push the big green button to get it going. So on this machine, each heater bank can be controlled, and then we also have a master control switch for the propane. So right now I don't have the heat turned on, but I can flip this one big blue switch, and then we have propane running to all the heaters. And I can turn off any of the 4 banks by turning off any of these switches here. So with all these turned off, we have no propane going through. And I can turn them on at any point during the operation, and you'll have propane flow into them immediately, lit by the pilot lights. Or I can turn them all off at once, again using the master switch at any time during operation. Okay, so the machine works on a cycle system, and we set the number of cycles here on this counter. One cycle is from the rear position all the way to the front and returning again. That's one cycle. And your number of cycles will depend on the temperature of the asphalt and the age of the asphalt. So on the control panel here we have a front and rear short cycle button. And what this allows you to do is at any point in the cycle, if you have the machine going in one direction, you can tell it to go back in a different direction. So it's going forward right now. I push the rear cycle button, it'll start sending it in reverse. And if I push the front cycle button, it'll send itself forward. So the SR120 covers an area that's 13 feet wide by 10 feet long. And the heaters move back and forth in a reciprocating motion, heating up the asphalt. This is covered in more detail in the asphalt reheating presentation found on our website. You may have noticed that the heater spends more time in the middle and less time on the outside edges. In this next animation, we'll cover a topic called effective heating area.
Here we have the SR120. It has an operational heating area that is 13 feet wide by 10 feet long. This is the area that the heaters move over during operations. This is not, however, the effective heating area. This area is marginally smaller than the stroke area due to variable temperatures in the area that the heater travels. These areas are affected by the immediate contact with colder asphalt that's not being heated, as well as ambient temperatures and wind conditions. As the SR120 carriage moves forwards and backwards, the effective heating area is reduced to 12.5 feet wide, and it varies from 8 to 9 feet long. Again, this is due to a range of factors as well as the product being installed. With all that said, you're always going to have consistent heat in the very center of the effective heating area. You always want to pay close attention to the front and back, as these areas will change depending on your conditions, and you'll need proper overlap for good productivity and a quality install. It is very important that you're aware of your effective heating area. This will allow you to properly position your machine for the next heat, as well as avoid stamping cold asphalt and damaging your templates. The variable heat area from your previous heat still warms the asphalt to some degree. Although this is not enough heat to stamp properly, you can still use this heat by properly positioning your machine so that the variable heat areas are overlapping. The end result is enough heat to stamp properly. Any project can be broken down into a series of overlapping heats. Using your reheat machine effectively will ensure productivity and a quality install.
The SR120 has an adjustment, and you can shorten the stroke length. And what this will do is actually shorten your effective heating area. The consistent area of your heat will get smaller, yet your variable areas on the ends will stay the same, because that's as a result of the heater design. Now that we've gone through initial setup and the operation of the machine, as well as the effective heating area, we can set it up for transit. First thing we're going to need to do is get the propane out of the lines. And the easiest way to do that is shut off the propane at your tanks, and then again turn the machine on, let it go through a cycle, and it'll send all the propane out of the machine. And then we use our rear cycle button to bring the machine back to the home position so we can lift up the rail. So I'm going to lift up the rail, lock it in place, bring both wings up, disconnect the propane, disconnect the power, and then I can fold up the front rail. So to lift up the rail, we just need to unlock both sides. Disconnect clip, and then slowly letting it down, pulling the cable whip out of the way, like so. Just reconnect the clip, and we're ready to bring it into the trailer. Okay, the machine's all set, ready to be brought into your trailer. Always make sure that you back the machine in. The pilot lights are the lowest part of the machine. If you were to drive up, you would most likely damage them on the ramp of your trailer. Depending on the slope of your ramp, you might need some extra people to help you get it up onto the trailer. The motor sometimes isn't powerful enough if it's too steep. So during transit, you want to make sure that the rail is secure. You do that by strapping it to the front handle here, this part, not the brake part. And what that does is allows the heater carriage to stay contained in the frame, and it won't bounce around when it's in transit. You also want to make sure that it's tied down to the proper points. You have 2 tie down points at the back here, right at the frame, and then there's 2 points at the front that you should be using to tie down. So once you have the machine in your trailer all strapped down, it'd be a good idea to disconnect again those kill switch battery terminals, just so the batteries don't drain out. And if you have it in storage, it's good to disconnect them or even take them out for the winter time. If you're looking for any more information on the SR120, please visit our website. I'm Jacob Dobson. Thank you for watching the video.